Chapter 11, Clash of Gardens. Balam. Garden glides over the central seas, its steel pillars humming as dawn gilds the waves, the turbines steady thrum carrying it toward Idea's orphanage, a beacon of answers after Trabia's revelations, squall at the bridge's helm, the weight of leadership binding him to unravel Elone's dream weaving, and the sorceress's past as their matron. Feelings about honesty mixed with thoughts of Headmaster Sid, a discussion between them held off until potential answers revealed at their destination agreed upon, although Squall couldn't quite understand the calm demeanour of Sid during the confrontation. Unsettling and both reassuring simultaneously as to why this was also not disclosed sooner. The rugged central coast unfurls, an open field stretching beyond to the orphanage exactly where Irvine remembered it to be. Its stone walls weathered with ivy, a slanted roof kissed by sea mist, wildflowers nodding in the salty breeze, a crumbling lighthouse standing sentinel nearby, its cracked spire tilting toward the ocean, its faded beacon a silent echo of childhood tales. The garden hovers above the grassy expanse, its shadow rippling, the orphanage a distant silhouette closing in, until alarms wail, screens flaring as Galbadia Garden surges into view eastward, its crimson spire piercing the sky, a fortress bristling with cannons, its turbines roaring with Idea's intent, a clash foretold in their fractured memories. Squall steps to the PA, his voice firm as he issues commands. Junior class men to muster in the quad for safety. Briefing room teams to guard the infirmary. Second floor squad to secure the classroom deck. Zhu to fortify the front gate. Quistis to patrol the perimeter. Zell to rally the dorms. Irvine and Selfie to the bridge for sharpshooting and spirit. Every seed to stand as one. His words a call to arms as preparations unfold. Junctions checked, potions and ethers counted, strategies weighed for the battle ahead, each choice sharpening their resolve. Squall reconvenes with the party in the courtyard, a sense of togetherness that bleeds through them all now, only inspiring the cadets further. Renoa's gaze steadying him with a look of support only a bond so strong between them could produce. The seed contract she held near redundant now. Renoa was at his side, as he was at hers regardless of a mercenaries agreement made long ago. Squall turns to Zell, who is lacking his usual confidence, replaced with a rare nervousness. Squall removes the charm off the handle of his gunblade, detaching further a detailed and a complex ring bearing a lion squall adopted as his insignia. Remembering past times before their seed exam, where he and Zell would talk about courage, strength and pride, conversations that turned inspiration for creating the makeshift charm into battle as he swung his blade. He hands the ring to Zell with a confident and quiet nod, relieving him, and instill the trust in that erases any anxiousness. Squall turns to return to the deck, leaving the sound of commands to cadets from Zell fading in the distance. The garden's turbines shuddering as they near for the inevitable clash. The orphanage's quiet promise eclipsed by the storm of war. A crucible forged from their past, now rising to meet their future. The air crackles with dread as Balam Garden surges above the central field, its steel hull a titan looming over the once pristine fields, and the lighthouse's cracked spire in the distance. Galbadia Garden bearing down, its crimson spire a jagged wound against the dawn, cannons bristling with Idea's malice. Squall storms back to Garden's bridge, sensing the imminent battle, the deck vibrating with the turbine's frantic roar. Nida gripping the helm, his eyes fixed on screens where Galbadia Garden surges forward, its crimson spire a battering ram slicing through dawn's haze, cannons agleam as it barrels to crush them. Cadets in navy frozen at posts, the air electric with dread until Nida yanks the controls right at the final heartbeat, an evasive manoeuvre to decrease the impact's damage, turbines wailing as Balam lurches, Squall's voice booming over the PA, urging all to brace, his command a lifeline cut short by a deafening smash of two cities colliding, steel slamming steel, a bone-rattling thud shuddering through the garden, sparks and groans erupting as the orphanage's distant stone fades beneath the chaos. Across the breach, Cypher Almasy commands Galbadia's bridge, a shadowed foil to Squall, his gunblade raised, silver coat glinting as he snarls orders. His once rebellious fire now forged into Edea's night, his defiance twisted to blind loyalty where Squall found duty, his brash pride a cruel mirror to Squall's quiet resolve. His dreams of glory surrendered to the sorceress's will, a path carved opposite in every step, where Squall leads with care, Cypher rules with force, with the Galbadian Garden acquiring the advantage, sitting with a higher elevation than their target, the two gardens strafing around each other, a dance of two cities with opposing ideals before Nida and decuple Cypher seizes the chance, his voice a lash as soldiers in tunics mount motorbikes, their engines snarling to life, a chorus of guttural roars as they rev in tight formation, handlebars gleaming under flickering deck lights, each rider's visor snapping down with cold precision, their wheels spinning as boosters flare, a blaze of white-hot flame jetting from rear mounts, each cycle using its own launch ramp, exploding like a gunshot propelling them upward, bikes soaring in a daring arc across the chasm, the void yawning below, wind whipping their tunics as they crest the gap. At the peak of their flight, not a sound can be heard by the Galbadian invaders until tires screaming as they slam onto Balam's esplanade, sparks spraying like molten rain, riders skidding into sharp turns. Some drawing curved blades mid-slide, others vaulting off to charge with rifles blazing. Their assault a whirlwind of steel and fire, crashing into Seed ranks. As the garden's distance between them widens, it reveals the collision's impact rends Balam's courtyard. Marble tiles splintering, railings crumpling. Cadets and Galbadian soldiers plunging into the abyss, their screams lost in chaos, Renoa among them, as she tumbles, her blue duster snagging a jutting pipe. A saving grace as she lands unconscious on a warped metal shard under the garden beside a Galbadian soldier, also out cold, his rifle limp, the platform creaking ominously, its sway a ticking threat far below reach. Zell, at the courtyard's edge, spots them, his fists clenched as he shouts her peril. Renoa and the soldier, uncertain who will wake first, the platform's groans fueling his dread that it won't hold through the battle. His voice raw as he searches in vain for aid to reach her, unable to cross the gap. Squall bolts from the bridge, his gunblade slashing through the esplanade, Galbadian bikers roaring by, duels left and right, wheels sparking, some leaping off, swords flashing from their backs. Squall's strikes, felling them swiftly, bodies collapsing as he carves through smoke and cries, the first wave crumbling as Balaam meets the surge. Zell catching Squall, relaying Renoa's dire state, Squall's scarred brow tightening, doubt gnawing as he prepares for his next move, the garden's steel groaning beneath. The din of battle ebbs as Balaam Garden's esplanade smoulders from the Skybike's assault. A second wave ignites. Galbadian aero troopers, clad in blue tunics, strap into open mech suits, their jetpacks roaring to life, sleek steel frames encasing their torsos with thrumming engines, exhaust vents blazing with white-hot flames that propel them skyward, the suits' skeletal arms whirring as they grip rifles, launching from Galbadia Garden's crimson decks in a swarm, soaring across the void like iron comets, their visors glinting under dawn's glare as they dive toward Balaam's steel decks, boots slamming with earth-shaking force, rifles spitting fire into the fray. Meanwhile, other soldiers seize ropes slung from their hull, abseiling with lethal precision, their figures slicing through the mist as they rappel down, some crashing through the classroom decks, shattered windows, landing amidst desks where young cadets in navy cower, their wide eyes flashing with fear as the invaders' blades gleam. The air torn by thrusters' shrieks, the clatter of steel, and the distant cries of refugee breached, a relentless tide surging against the garden's faltering heart. Squall without hesitation orders everyone to divide. He springs a worried look to the upper deck, where the echoes of the younger cadets' cries can be heard. Before he can give directive, Irvine and Quistis break away, sprinting to the classroom deck, where young cadets huddle, the youngest in navy trembling behind desks as troopers breach, Irvine's rifle snapping with lethal precision, Quistis's whip cracking through foes, their swift defence clearing the room, then guiding the children to the infirmary's sterile haven, Dr. Kadawaki's hands ready to shield them, along with Headmaster Sid, who has taken refuge to tend to the wounded. Zell and Selfie scramble to the courtyard's edge, feeling multiple aero troopers on the way, their calls to Renoa lost in the wind as the intruding soldiers' presence forming a barricade to the quad, a shadow over their futile reach, while Squall fights on towards the deck, directing squads through chaos. Cadets clashing with troopers, sparks flying, his gunblade a whirlwind, yet doubt creeps in, his strength to lead faltering as Renoa's fate looms heavier than the battle's roar. The gardens entwined in a ruinous dance above the orphanage's distant whisper, their past and future forged in this storm of steel and fire. Squall charging back to the bridge, his gunblade streaked with blood and soot, taut as he takes the helm. Nida steady at the controls, the screens flickering with warnings as Galbadia Garden's crimson silhouette in the foreground, circling too close, preparing for more, its cannons primed across the centre field. Irvine and Quistis stride in, their brows raised with sweat and clothing dirtied with debris. Irvine's rifle slung as he nods, confirming the young cadet's safety. Quistis's reports their relocation to the infirmary with Headmaster Sid. As always, her calm, a quiet victory amid the chaos. Zell and Selfie burst through, breathless. Zell's fists clenched as he admits the quad's loss. Galbadian forces breaching the courtyard. Renoa still trapped on the creaking platform, unconscious beside a knocked-out soldier, unreachable despite their efforts. Selfie's trembling as she adds, "Cadets hold the barricade, stalling the enemy's advance," their voices edged with strain. Dr. Kadawaki enters, her white coat stained with the injured, her voice grave as she warns the casualties piled too high. The infirmary buckling, unable to sustain more. Her words cut short as Squall's face betrays a flicker of doubt, his shoulders tensing, the weight of leadership cracking his resolve. Cypher Almas's shadow, Idia's knight, his opposite in pride and ruin, looming in his mind across Galbadia's bridge. The party rallies around him, Rinoa's absence a silent ache, Irvine stepping close, pledging their trust in Squall's heart where Cypher's faltered, Quistis affirming his clarity as a leader, not clouded by glory. Selfie's brightness, insisting Headmaster Sid's faith in him burns true, Zell urging him to keep fighting, not as Cypher's mirror, but as their anchor. Their words a chorus weaving strength, reminding him he's forged connection where Cypher chased power. His doubt easing as their trust steadies his gaze. Squall grips the PA, his voice rising firm to every corner of the garden, calling for courage, for seeds to stand tall to protect their home, to strike as one against the sorceress's tide, urging them to hold fast, to honour their bonds. His words a beacon echoing Sid's charge, rallying cadets slumped in hallways to the feet, their cheers a faint pulse through the steel. A daring plan of a collision and countercharge. He turns to Nida, his command sharp. Steer into Galbadia Garden. Bring them down before they shatter Balaam. A counter-crash to gain leverage, to muster an assault of their own, whilst in turn gain an advantage to come to Rinoa's aid, ordering all to brace once more, the turbines roaring as Nida angles the helm, the garden lurching forward, steel prow aimed at the crimson foe, the deafening crunch of steel on steel as they collide, the serene backdrop fading as their clash reignites. Squall's resolve a blazing vow to end this storm. Rinoa's peril, along with their past and also future, hanging in the balance, fueling his fight against Idea's twisted reign. Steel screams as Balaam Garden locks with Galbadia Garden, their mangled hulls grinding into a jagged embrace, twisted plating forming a perilous makeshift bridge between them. Sparks flaring like wildfire across the central sky. Squall gripping the PA, screaming his orders with passion none had heard until this moment, commanding every able seed to charge across. He that hastily turns is influenced to the party to lead the assault, his voice sharp as he vows to save Rinoa, still trapped on her crumbling platform, before sprinting toward her peril, praying she made it through the collision. Down below at the makeshift bridge, wind of each garden's turbines drafts up to clear the surrounding smoke, revealing Zell's fists blaze with fury as he storms forward, Irvine's rifle cracking with pinpoint shots, Selfie's nunchaku whirling, Quistis's whip snapping like thunder, the four spearheading a tide of seed cadets, their boots thundering over the creaking bridge, each and every one with a desperation in their eyes, not only for their garden, but for the world. They plunge onto Galbadia's open esplanade, where troopers in blue surge to meet them, blades clashing, rifles roaring, bodies colliding in a maelstrom of chaos. Cadets grappling with soldiers, steel sparking on steel, shouts and grunts swallowed by the din, blood and sweat mingling as Zell's punches shatter visors. Irvine picks off snipers, Selfie spins through ranks, and Quistis lashes foes aside. The air a frenzy of flashing metal, explosions erupting from below, and desperate cries. the battle a churning heart of defiance against Idea's crimson reign. In Balaam Garden, Squall sprints through the battered corridors, distant thunder of explosions as he weaves past sparking panels and fallen cadets, heart pounding toward the quad where Rinoa clings to life. The garden's interlocked steel, Balaam's hull fused to Galbardia's crimson frame, opening a treacherous path across twisted plating. His boots hammering the ground as he bursts onto the shattered courtyard, its marble tiles cracked wide, revealing the jagged ledge where Rinoa lies unconscious on a groaning platform. A knocked-out Galbadian soldier sprawled beside her, their makeshift perch swaying perilously below. Squall leaning over the edge, his scarred brow creasing with desperation as he screams her name, voice raw with urgency, stirring Rinoa to groggy awareness, her blue duster shifting as she blinks awake. Along with the soldier as he jerks to life too. They both lock eyes once they come to and just as quick look at his rifle in between them. He steadies and lunges for his rifle, only for Rinoa's swift kick to send it skittering off the edge, clattering into the abyss, his eyes glinting with fury. Squall's face paling with fear as he prepares a descent, gripping a warped rail ready to risk the dangerous leap, resolve burning despite the void of certain death below. Before he can move, an aero trooper surges from his blind side, mech suit roaring, its steel frame slamming a tackle on Squall sideways, the impact hurling them both over the edge. Rinoa's cry piercing the air as they vanish from her sight. Squall grappling mid-air with the trooper, their bodies twisting in a free-fall frenzy, fist and boots vying for the make's controls, boosters flickering as Squall jams the throttle, flames sputtering then flaring, the suit lurching wildly, their struggle a blur of clawing hands and sparking metal, gloved fingers scraping at the jetpack's core, the trooper's visor cracking under Squall's elbow, neither yielding as they plummet, the outcome shrouded in the wind's howl, a clash of wills suspended above doom. Rinoa, heart lurching at Squall's fall, faces the soldier, now charging, his fists raised, their fight a desperate wrestle on the platform's narrow span, barely wide enough for two, steel creaking as they grapple, her arms straining to block his blows, his boots shoving her toward the edge, her duster snagging as she twists, landing a kick to Hish's leg, toppling him. Their breaths ragged, sweat stinging as they teeter. The soldier launches hands forward, seizing her neck, fingers tightening with grim intentions, her gasp choking as she claws at his grip. Her shoulders now hanging over the edge as weight and strength edge her closer and closer to the void below, her resistance ebbing against his relentless push. Her vision starting to fade, the daze of suffocation upon her. A roar cuts through so loud it almost stops time. Squall rockets upward, mech suit blazing, his gunblade slicing clean through the soldier, and his grasp, crimson spraying as the foe tumbles off the platform. Rinoa's gasp of relief flooding as Squall hovers, his face grim but steady, lowering her a line from the mech's frame, her hands trembling as she ties it tight, clinging as he pulls, boosters flaring to lift her from the brink, soaring toward Galbardia's esplanade, where battle rages, her eyes locked on him. A radiant warmth swelling in her chest, overcoming the pain she endures, her gaze tracing every line of his resolve, a quiet certainty that he had always come for her. His presence a beacon in her time of need, unfazed by the chaos of clashing seed and troopers unfolding below, as when she is with him, nothing scares her. Chapter 12. Heart of the Crimson Spire. Squall lands them on Galbadia Gardens esplanade, the plain of battle, mech suit sputtering as he sets Rinoa down, his gunblade steady as he kneels, eyes scanning her for wounds, her blue duster torn, her nod brave but trembling, a mask of courage hiding the ordeal on the platform, her breath catching as she points to a shadowed side entrance across the battle-ravaged deck, its steel frame unbarred amidst the fray. He seizes her hand, their fingers locking as they sprint, the esplanade a maelstrom, Seed cadets clashing with Galbadian soldiers, motorbikes roaring past, tyres screeching as riders swing curved blades, aero troopers diving with mech suits blazing, their rifles spitting sparks, hand-to-hand brawls erupting in grunts and sweat, swords clanging, explosions rocking the hull with bursts of flame and smoke, bodies stumbling through the haze, the air alive with chaos's roar. Squall's gunblade flashes, felling a soldier lunging with a dagger, then another blocking their path, his strike swift with one arm as he pulls Rinoa forward with the other, her steps faltering but firm, until they reach the entrance's quiet alcove, a fleeting haven from the storm. He turns to her, his touch delicate as he examines the bruises blooming along her neck, grazes marring her face and arms, his scarred brow softening with concern, Rinoa's watery eyes hiding fear and pain, yet gleaming with resolve as she nods to acknowledge she is fine now, stepping into his arms, her embrace fierce, an anchor against the battle's tide. She pulls back, fingers brushing her duster to reveal a ring, Squall's he lent to Zell earlier, her voice catching as she jokes she couldn't have perished with it. Squall's smirk breaking through, shaking his head in joyful disbelief, Rinoa recounting Zell's pledge of its power, strength, courage, pride, traits she confirms that he embodies, her thoughts clinging to him, and his scarred brow as she slipped it on, her gaze holding his with unspoken warmth. Playfully she teases as he rethreads it onto his gunblade's chain, crafting the charm, asking the lion's name, Squall mumbling, Griever, bashful under her stare, Rinoa giggling, her tone light but tender, joking that Zell promised her one, but raising concerns that folk might mistake her and Squall's bond with matching rings, the cheekiest of smiles falling across her battle-worn grazes. Squall's dry retort, hinting he's sure rumours most likely swirl already as both share a slight chuckle, their coy laughter replacing words that dance around feelings neither name, yet both feel blooming. A quiet understanding woven in their smiles. Distant explosions shatter the moment, steel trembling as Squall's voice hardens, urging they press inside to end this, his hand grazing hers as they turn. The esplanade's chaos a fading roar behind the entrance's shadowed promise. The crimson-lit corridors of Galbadia Garden pulse with tension as Squall and Rinoa race through, their boots echoing off steel walls. The distant clamour of the esplanade's battle fading, when shadows flicker ahead. Zell, Selphie and Quistis sprinting from an adjacent passage, catching the dim glow, each side freezing, hands on weapons, mistaking the other for Galbadian soldiers. Squall's gunblade half raised, Zell's fists poised, until Selphie's gasp breaks the silence as she recognises Rinoa, alive. Quistis lowers her whip, relief softening her calm. Zell's grin bursting wide as he bounds forward, the group converging with hushed joy, broken by approaching footsteps, revealing Irvine to the group's relief. His tan duster swaying, rifle slung as his eyes light up at Renoa's battered but breathing form. His late arrival confirming the tide is swaying in their favour. Outside senior cadets are leading the charge, drawing Selfie's playful nudge. They gather close. Renoa's weary smile met with Zell's clap on her shoulder, Quistis's steady nod, and Irvine's quiet chuckle. Their shared moment of fleeting warmth. Hands clasped, breaths steadying, binding them after the platform's peril. The hallway's stillness a rare pause before the sorceress's shadow looms anew. The corridors stretch silent beyond, their polished steel scarred from battle. The roar of the esplanade muffled as Squall urges his companions deeper into the fortress. Their steps echoing in the eerie calm, the bulk of Galbadian troopers spilled out to clash with Seed on the ravaged deck, leaving only a few stragglers patrolling. Zell's fists flash as he spots a pair, his strike swift and silent, dropping them before they can raise an alarm, their bodies slumping against the wall as he loosens his stance. Squalls presses them forward, insisting the sorceress, Adia, must be aboard, his voice steady but laced with strain as he reminds them she's no longer their makeshift mother from the orphanage's stone halls, but a vessel of evil that abducted their guardian. His words faltering slightly, betraying the ache in his chest, the weight of facing the matron who once sang them lullabies. Renoa, sensing each other's reluctance, their shared past a heavy shadow in the crimson glow. Squall meets their eyes, his tone hardening as he declares their feelings can't help only hinder. Those emotions can come later, together. His reassurance a quiet vow to carry the burden as one, steadying Selfie's resolve, lifting Irvine's chin, firming Quistis's stance, sparking Zell's nod, and drawing Renoa's trusting glance, their hesitation easing as they press on. The hallway's emptiness a fleeting respite before the sorceress's heart. Squall's leadership a fragile beacon against the evil ahead. The crimson stairwells of Galbadia Gardens spiral upward, their steel steps ringing as Irvine urges the party to climb. His memory of this former home guiding them deeper toward Idea's likely sanctum. The air heavy with a lingering magic and sorceress's shadow. They round a landing, halting as Fujin and Raijin emerge from the gloom. Fujin's teal coat torn, her lone eye weary, Raijin's bulky vest scuffed, his staff lowered, both deflated, no spark of combat in their stance. Squall's gunblade tensing as the party braces, yet no blows come. Fujin's voice cuts sharp, admitting they stalled Galbadia's siege, tampering with cannons and locks to tip the scales for Barlamb. Raijin nodding, his tone heavy as he confesses staying behind to further sabotage, their efforts a quiet rebellion not entirely against Idea's tide, or for their former garden, but for their loyalty that clings to Cypher, unwavering despite his fall. Squall's focus narrows, caution lacing his words as he warns against deception, his trust thin after their recent defection from Balam Garden and its cause. Fujin reveals their pleas to Cypher failed, his heart unreachable, Raijin adding they only seek their friend's return, not Idea's victory, their naivety drawing a flicker of doubt from the party. Quistis tilting her head, Selfie frowning, as they question such single-minded hope. Fujin suggests Squall might weigh him, but he shakes his head, voice low, deeming Cypher too far gone. Not just Edea's pawn, but a man who chose to be her knight, the opposite of Seed's honour, of Sid's vision, his pride a chasm no words can bridge, the hallway's crimson glow casting their divide starkly. Fujin and Raijin stepping aside, their figures fading as Squall leads onward. Edea's sanctum closer. Cypher's shadow a wound in their shared past. The crimson hallways of Galbadia Garden twist like a labyrinth. The party's steps hushed as they seek Edea or Cypher. The sorceress's presence await in the air, boots echoing from adjacent passages where Galbadian troops march, it looking certain the approach to her quarters impossible to approach without alerting a breach. Waves of soldiers and guards lining hallways leading to her, an approaching patrol forcing them to duck into a cramped maintenance room, its walls lined with humming pipes, shadows flickering over dusty crates. Inside, 3 young students cower stunned, hands raised, pleading for mercy, their eyes wide with fear. Quistis's natural calm assessing them and providing reassurance explain they won't bring them harm, as she gently puts a hand on Irvine's rifle, lowering it in the process. Squall nods. They're no threat, only children caught in war's grip. The students, voices trembling, recognizing Squall and the party are the seed they admire. They recount the garden's fall. After Edea's inauguration, Galbadian forces stormed in, felling older cadets who resisted. A man in a grey coat, gunblade like Squall's, dragging Headmaster Martine to the lobby, challenging and beating him near death for all to see. Martine's exile leaving him broken, the man, Cypher, declaring the garden a base for Edea's new age, demanding allegiance or his blade, the sorceress sweeping in soon after. Soldiers locking up dissenters or worse. They reveal a secret faction, students and cadets sabotaging cannons, unlocking the training quad some days ago to free its beasts, proving a waste of valuable resources it had been annexed, to prepare for today's battle, aiding Balaam's fight today. Squall's jaw tightening, exchanging glances with the party as they share his frustrations, all recognizing Fujin and Raijin's lies about their sabotage, their words unravelling under truth's weight. The students share soldiers' gripes over heading the hallways, Galbadia losing, forces thinned as many seed cadets defected before enduring battle. Quistis shocked to hear they didn't take the chance to also flee, their response explaining their staying to honour their oath as seed trainees, orphans like the party from the last Sorceress War. Quistis reinforces their bravery. The headmasters of Seed would be proud, their courage gleaming beyond their years, a stark mirror to the horrors of Edea's regime. Its first wound struck at its cradle, Galbadia Garden, its origin, falling swiftest as regimes rise, its halls stripped of honour, its cadets and, more importantly, the ideals of the institutions crushed under her heel. A bitter truth that power betrays its own before all else. Renault's gaze, softening and hand-twitching, recalling Timber, its oppressors, the party stirred by their defiance. A student presses a keycard into Squall's hand, whispering directions to the annexed training grounds and adjacent halls. A swift path to Edea, where no soldiers tread, only monsters roam. Half the garden wild, a treacherous gauntlet. Squall urging them to stay sharp, and use their cunning to cross to Balaam, seek Shu or Headmaster Sid, and name him as their shield, promising refuge. The party slips out, stealthy manoeuvring between the patrols that eventually disappear as they approach the quarantined area of the garden. Key card unlocking zoned-off corridors, their boots crossing a desolate plaza. Beasts' roars echo and curl through cracked tiles and halls, originating from the training grounds' shadowed depths, now behind the one final plaza ahead. The party is met with a deafening growl, where a Cerberus lunges from the ceiling, a loose guardian force, 3 snarling heads snapping, eyes like molten coals, tails whipping with venomous spikes, its roar splintering the air, claws raking steel as flames erupt, Squall's gunblade parrying a snapping jaw, Renoa's casts faltering against its hide, Irvine's shots pinging off scales, Selfie's nunchaku glancing blows, Quistis's whip lashing futilely, Zell's fists bloodied as he dodges a tail sting, the beast's triple howls weaving a spell that slows their strikes, magic bursting in searing blasts, the ground quaking as it charges, their lungs burning, sweat blurring vision, each clash a desperate stand against its relentless fury, until a final surge, Squall's blade piercing a throat, Renoa's aura flaring, Irvine's bullet finding an eye, fells it, its massive form crumpling with a dying snarl. The party seizing its essence, junctioning Cerberus's power to bolster their strength for Idea, the path to her now clearer, yet darker. The training ground shadows yield to a heavy door, its steel etched with ominous runes, leading to Idea's quarters. A chamber warped beyond Galbadia Garden's sleek design, its walls draped in black velvet that pulses like living shadow, crimson chandeliers dripping wax like blood, the air thick with a sour tang of magic, twisted mirrors reflecting distorted faces. She sits upon a makeshift throne under aura of magic, forming a makeshift canopy, no trace of the garden's polish, only a sorceress's malice reshaping her lair to match her corrupted heart. Cypher stands guard before her throne, his grey coat frayed, gunblade gleaming, a smirk curling as he blocks Squall, Renoa, Irvine, Selfie, Quistis, and Zell, his voice dripping with scorn, sarcastically indicating he's grateful they've come, questioning how they dare to bring harm to Matron after her care, revealing he also knows of their past, his eyes glinting as he teases Zell about bullying him around the orphanage, Zell's fists clenching, then turning to Renoa, mocking their fleeting teenage romance, her sharp glare cutting him off, insisting its death, the cipher she knew long gone, insulting them buzzing swarm, insects beneath him, a minor snag in Idea's grand design, Squall stepping forward, his gunblade unsheathed, retorting that no taunts can sway them. Cypher is just another monster, propping up evil, no different from many before him or the beasts they've slain. Cypher arrogance shines through laughing, and mocking their ignorance of the sorceress's prophecy. His role as her knight a mantle they can't grasp, likening them to the unworthy beneath their might. Turning to Idea, her shadowed form nodding on a throne, her eyes cold as he drags his gunblade, carving a sparking line in the floor, crouching into combat stance. The party charges, Zell's fists swinging, Irvine's rifle blazing, Selfie's nunchaku whirling, Quistis's whip cracking, Renoa's casts flaring, Squall following through his blade with bad intentions. But Cypher moves like a phantom, his coat a blur, sidestepping Zell's punch, to locking his neck with one hand to slam him down, turning and slicing through Irvine's bullet, splitting it to form his opening, dashing to slash his arm, parrying Selphie's strike with his blade, absorbing her force to return it and knock her back, twisting past Quistis's whip, catching it under his foot to her shock. His coat swirled across her face, obstructing her vision as he follows through with an explosive roundhouse that feels like it went through her chest, launching her across the room, deflecting Rinoa's magic, catching it at the last second in his hand, harnessing it through the pain to reflect it back and to stun her, all whilst parrying incoming slashes from Squall's blade with his own, taking the opening to release a magic explosion from his offhand, knocking Squall down in agony. Cypher's strikes quick, clinical and brutal, felling each with eerie precision, empowered by Idea's dark will. Squall staggers to his feet, the others crumpled, tending to wounds, some barely standing. Selphie cradling Irvine, Quistis pulling Zell up. His gaze returns and locks on Cypher, his mind racing in the moment, visions flickering. A young Cypher shoving him in the orphanage's sand, matrons' lullabies soothing their tears. Zell's grin as junior seed cadets. Headmaster Sid's hand resting on his shirt, instilling belief in him, and Rinoa's warm gaze and eternal smile in glow on Fisherman's horizon. Squall releases a primal scream, his strength surging as he grips, tightens on his gunblade, readying his stance to lunge. Now his vision, his clear facing Cypher's arrogance, his taunting smirk, one arm extended, fingers beckoning, daring Squall to engage. Squall launches like a bullet released from the chamber. Their duel erupts, blades clashing in showers of sparks, steel screaming as Squall lunges, Cypher parries, taunting he's the better man, destined as knight, his honour fallen to boasts of Idea's glory, mocking Squall's duty as weak, the artistry on full display and the difficulty in wielding such a weapon in the gunblade, the most difficult blade to use, the wounded in awe, filled with belief in their friend and the skill they didn't know he had. Each strike a thunderclap. Squall dodging a sweeping slash, Cypher blocking a thrust, boots skidding on warped stone, sweat stinging as Squall's focus sharpens, countering a heavy blow, landing a deep cut, Cypher's guard faltering, a final slash, sending him crashing, blood pooling as he gasps. Squall spares him a glance, questioning his fall, then turns his focus as charges at Idea, her throne room distorting, shadows writhing as she glares at Cypher's defeat, disgust curling her lips before she melts into the floor, a shimmering residue fading. Squall's frustrated yell echoing as he slashes the magic's trace, steel biting stone as he leans on his gunblade for support, expelling the deepest of breaths. Irvine, slumped with Selphie's hands on his wounds, gasps that Idea's fled to the auditorium below. Squall's eyes fill with hope as he gets to his feet. Cypher's bloodied laugh rasping, vowing she'll never fall, as Squall bolts from the chamber, boots pounding toward the stairwell, Cypher's laughs echoing behind him, the auditorium's depths calling, Idea's shadow slipping beyond his grasp. A mistake he won't afford her again. Squall burst into Galbadia Garden's auditorium below, its vast dome shrouded in gloom, the ceiling oozing black wax-like tendrils, dripping like ichor pooling on the balcony where one stream surges, moulding into a slender form. Idea, her silhouette sharp against crimson curtains, her voice laced with disgust as she peers down, mocking Squall as the fabled seed destined to fell her, proclaiming his time has come. His gunblade rising in defiance, his challenge sharp, but met with her scoff, unimpressed, yet noting his journey's reach, vowing he'll go no further. As she glides from the balcony, robes trailing like liquid night. Her presence commands awe, framed by her sorceress regalia, crowned by a golden arch headpiece that rises like a halo of dominion, its sleek curves gleaming with molten lustre, intricate filigree curling along its edges like ancient runes, each arc sweeping upward in a crescent that frames her dark hair, shimmering faintly as if kissed by starlight. The metal's weight balanced impossibly, a testament to her power, its golden spines fanning outwards, sharp yet regal, casting delicate shadows that dance with her every gesture, a throne-like crest marking her as both queen and enigma, amplifying the malice that cloaks her once maternal heart. Squall steadies, but Cypher crashes through the doors, roaring his name whilst gurgling blood from his mouth, eyes burning with redemption. His grey coat bloodied, limping as he clutches a wound, gunblade trembling in his grip. His arrogant smirk gone, replaced by blood-soaked, gritted teeth. Rage and desperation fueling him despite his broken body. Edea's face twisting with disdain, unseen by Cypher as he stumbles between her and Squall, blade raised, slumped yet defiant, assuming his position as her knight. Squall sees her coldness. No trace of the matron's warmth, only betrayal for Cypher's sacrifice, his heart hardening as she lazily commands all seed to die. Cypher lunges, his strikes fierce despite pain, gunblade slashing wildly, each swing a spiteful cry. Squall parrying heavy blows, boots skidding on polished stone, Cypher's wound slowing him, yet his sorceress-fueled might pressing hard, sparks flying as Squall ducks a desperate arc, countering with a deep cut, Cypher staggering, shame flooding his eyes as he collapses, fainting with a groan, disgrace heavier than his wounds will ever feel. Squall pivots to Edea, recalling Derling's failed strike and its scar, vowing today's difference, lunging as her magic flares, shadows coiling, her spells hammering him, blasts searing his arms, ice shards grazing his side, Squall holding ground, gunblade clashing with her barriers. But her power overwhelms, his strength slipping, blows landing weakly. He stumbles to one knee, gasping what he can produce further, only to feel Renoa's steady hand assisting him to his feet, her eyes blazing with support and encouragement, urging him to rise, her presence fueling his resolve to press on. Her casts bursting to shield him. Their combined strikes, her aura, his blades, gaining ground. A final slash from Squall tearing into Edea. A blinding white flash erupting, silence swallowing all. His vision blurs, body frozen laying on the ground, ears ringing with a steady hum. Flashes pulsing as he sees Cypher's still form across. Renoa slowly entering his point of view, limping in a trance-like state, towards Cypher's lifeless body kneeling beside him, her hands on him kneeling over. Squall's broken voice calling her name, pain surging, the flashes intensifying. Cypher rises, appearing untouched under his blood-soaked clothes, striding past without a glance. Another flash comes through, and Renoa's head snapping back as if struck, collapsing, Squall mustering her name, Quistis sprinting in, sliding to her side, Zell and Selphie supporting Irvine under his arms, battered but upright, The ringing fades and flashes stop. Idia appears untouched, poised on the balcony, her voice softer. A sorceress's rasp lingering as she looks on naming her orphans. Squall, Zell, Quistis, Selphie, Irvine, praising their strength, musing if this long-awaited day is joyous or odious, questioning Elone's absence and safety. Has she been protected? Her words a riddle, as Squall's gaze locks on Quistis, cradling Rinoa. Her screams pleading over Rinoa's limp form, urging help, Squall muttering Rinoa's name. Vision fading to black, the auditorium's shadows claiming his strength, Edea's enigma unanswered.